Hello, I am Simpson, Cleveland Public Library's Front Fellow, as also the representative for Front International, and I am here doing another artist talk with the wonderful,
Oh,
multi-talented Cleveland Jam, Reggie Kelly.
so
And well, I'm really excited to have this moment because when I first came to Cleveland, he gave me my first opportunity to perform as I want to say a breakout Broadway star. Not really, but it was just that was my first time getting that experience working with so many local legends and doing some real work that I wouldn't have got that opportunity just going for it. I got it from somebody else. And the fact that when I walked into it thinking I'm just going to dance turned out to be, a history lesson on black art. And it definitely changed the way I see artists and directors and choreographers, and it gave me a different lens into what it is to be an artist. And I just thought you just show up and dance, and that was it.
No.
You have to really know the
no,
context.
no. You come into one of my productions, you're going to be put in several areas. But Rondell, you were a gift. I was looking for a male dancer, like you said, and you brought much more to the table. I could have looked at you as just a dancer, but your spirit showed, it showed me more that can be used and utilized to make Broadway noir, which, as we mentioned, was a history of black musicals, Broadway musicals. So we went all the way back from Shuffle Along, with UB Blake and Noble Sissel, all the way up to Dreamgirls and beyond, The Wiz. So there's a lot of history that was put on that stage, and yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. Hard work, but a great time.
It was in a concise amount of time.
I mean, 4 weeks
So
from
imagine it.
conception. 4 weeks from conception, compiling to casting, to selecting and finding a space. It was a journey. But when you're equipped and you've got the right people, the work becomes pretty much effortless. You just have to keep them around.
So speaking of that, let's dive into one of those little things we unpacked. So
Okay.
what has been a barrier or one of your biggest barriers being an artist, and how do you address it, or how do you attack that?
Well, let's see. There are different barriers for different things. Money is always a barrier. A budget and finding someone to produce your work. Fortunately, I've been traveling around the country for years and years and years and years and years, working at theaters. The budget is already included in the productions. You get called out to a different state, the amount of production, and there's a budget, which I never really see or pay attention to.
He said, "I'm here to do a
To
job."
be
and
honest,
that's
I
it."
really never pay attention to the budget. I just need a chandelier and not a candle. And so that's what I need, that's what I want. But the theater life is a different thing. Also, as a jazz vocalist, the obstacles are opportunity. So budget, as far as the theater is concerned, and opportunity as far as vocals, jazz singing or what, as I do, is an obstacle. So you just have to persevere and press through, and and keep praying. I was fortunate enough to do some live streams from a wonderful jazz club here in Cleveland, the Bop Stop, which during the pandemic everything shut down.
Everything.
And I had been singing and going all over the place, singing, and there was nowhere to sing because we had to wear masks, and there was no way in heaven.
Good catch.
I was gonna sing behind a mask, and there were no audiences, so everything had to be live streamed. So that was a great opportunity to do that. But really, the main thing is money. Money is always an obstacle in trying to do something wonderful. I feel. Yeah.
I mean, it definitely helps because it's it's access, it's resource, it's, you know, having a stage versus having a corner on the side of a street.
Oh, yeah.
That gives you a different audience, it gives you different traffic, it gives you a different experience.
Yeah.
And I know that was, you know, definitely different from having an audience to feed off of to having to respond to a camera.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just you, and you hoping that that energy is transferred through them from what you're getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's
yeah,
difficult.
I understand. I was teaching dance classes, and that was interesting.
Wow, so?
You know, I had to pick different environments based off what was available to me.
Yeah.
But also like sound equipment. Either if I'm in the street or outside, I had to use a speaker, and I'm picking up all the cars driving by, birds, trucks, water. But then also that engagement, because when you're with somebody, you can feed off, and you know what they're getting, what they're receiving, what you can pull back from. When it's a camera or a live stream, you just just got to present. You got to hope and pretend that somebody's.
And there's no taking it back.
There's
no second chance.
No.
I mean, and while you speak of that, during the pandemic, you know, like I said, I did a few live streams at the Bop Stop, and at the beginning, there were no audiences for me. It was the club was bare, and it was just me and the band. But it was life changing. It was really, really life changing for me, because I wasn't performing to entertain any longer. I was just using the gift in the space, just me and the Father and the universe. And there was a conversation that myself and the musicians had that we hadn't had before, when there were people there. So it was life changing in the fact that you're allowed to really, your heart, your spirit goes into the camera or whatever's being, you know, shot to shoot you, and you're not concerned about someone having a good time, or, you know, are they bored? Am I smiling enough? You know, watching folk leave.
Oh, they weren't feeling my set.
They weren't feeling it.
Got out.
They ain't left the set. You know, and not because you were good, but because they go back to the babysitter. You know, whatever the reason may be, there's so much you did not have to be concerned about in that situation. So I appreciated the live streams, and I'm going to get better at it, and I'm going to do more of them if I can, once I learn how to. Because right now, you know, I send emails and I call the people to see if they get the emails. That's how naive I am about it.
Come on, it's the follow-up.
Follow-up. So my goal is to get more technically, you know, advanced in this whole process. So that's why I'm proud of you for inviting me here to do this.
Well, thank you for being open, because I know that, you know, as newer technology comes forward, it's difficult, but it's also, you know, we put certain things in our head that makes us afraid to. Well, I don't want to be difficult because I could be taken advantage of, or somebody could get something, or, you know, so I understand. So the willingness helps, you know, and it teaches you a different type of restraint, understanding, but then you find opportunity to, you know, find peace.
Well, the difference between, just to jump on that again, the difference for me has been live audiences pay money. And I got to figure, I would need to figure out how these live streams are going to make a profitable situation, because there's a lot of money spent on equipment, and, you know, it costs to do that. And people aren't as generous as I thought they were. Coming from a live stream, they'll tune in, you know, in their pajamas and an ice cream cone, but really not support financially to those things as though it was a gift. And again, back to the pandemic, we as artists are essential workers. Art saved this world. I believe that. Art saved this world. If there weren't the bad singers and the bad dancers and the great singers and the great dancers and the great acting and those productions that were magnificent, everyone would have had to go to a psychiatrist and get on antidepressants. Art was a #1 facilitator of joy and life during this terrible time, and I'm glad we're sort of coming out of it. It's still, you know, still tipping lightly on it, but as artists, we are essential workers, and the world didn't understand it because they've taken advantage of art.
They've pulled it out of schools.
They've taken advantage.
Its importance and funding, but
absolutely.
Now we're throwing money.
Yeah,
we want it. We need it.
You have to have it.
Please give it to us. Please.
It's like grits. And butter or sugar,
it's like
however
grits.
You decide you want. If you like your grits with butter, but it's essential. It's essential to life. Music, art, as a total, is an essential part of life.
Well, you definitely answered my next question.
So I did.
Let me go on to my third one.
All right.
So speaking on the the method of transformation and healing, and that is the theme for this Front 22.
Okay.
And the main inspiration came from Langston Hughes' 1957 "Ode of Gods, the Dust and Rainbows."
Yeah.
That poem. So segueing into you, the project Langston's Place, which I'm super excited to bring to this platform to show people, your creative vision, but also a lesson in true artistry, and I feel like this is what we need to see. So just tell us a little about the inspiration and the message and meaning and purpose for this work.
Well, if I can, if I can
concise
it down a little bit because it's broad. I love the Harlem Renaissance period, like I mentioned before. It just set a blueprint of how we moved forward as Black people, in particular, into our artistry. But Langston Hughes, we're connected. I grew up at Karamu House, which is the nation's oldest Black community theater, and still running, today. And Langston worked there. He lived there, he wrote there, and I lived there and wrote there and worked there. In fact, one day during the 70s, I don't have to tell you how old I am, we were cleaning the place, and we opened a cabinet and found just a pile of Langston's works, his original handwritings of plays, including the Black Nativity, which is being done all over the world now. But Langston Hughes in particular speaks to me because of his vision and his commentary on Black life, his love of beauty, Black people, and Black art. So I wanted to do a love letter. And I've been using Langston's work throughout my career. I've always found a spot or a place to develop his work or to showcase his work either through dance or through music, or jazz. But this particular piece, Langston's Place, I imagined it took place. My imagination has me placing the piece in a club during the Harlem Renaissance, where everyone would come and hear him develop his work, and to be introduced to the characters that are very familiar with me. Just Be Simple, who was a constantly inebriated man of knowledge. And so those,
I got a couple of them in my family.
Okay, a couple of them in
family.
Okay.
So I know.
and then on the other side of that, Alberta, the maid who was a housemaid for white folk, and her journey and her journey with that. Those two characters really spoke to me on how they persevered and still made it happen and were able to comment on it. So Langston's Place, back to that, it's a choreo poem. It's a love story, it's a choreo poem filled with jazz and dance and new music, and again, it all takes place initially in this bar in somewhere in Harlem. But it expands to Africa, and it expands to other places in the country. Florida, with his writing friend Zora Neale Hurston, she's also introduced in the piece. They were writing buddies and very close. And letters, correspondence, their correspondence helps the audience understand the need of someone like that in your life to bounce ideas off of, especially when both of those folk were, ridiculed by the high poets,
because of the way they spoke,
yeah, because of the way they spoke and
it.
their language and the way they spoke, it seemed to disturb, the Claude McKays and Weldon Johnsons and those folk who felt that they didn't uplift the race. But that's where, we come from that.
It's a part of us.
It's a part.
You
can't let it go.
The wall was just sunshine and rainbows.
Come on now. So she's introduced in it. But again, it's just filled with, his not all, his body of work is, endless. But I've selected, some wonderful pieces that really speak about love and beauty. It's very specific. Love, beauty, and the commonality of races and hope for a better, society that includes everyone. And the darks, some poignant conversations about, how the black blues, we as black people have always been, have this shadow of blues on us, and to explore that. But I haven't cast the show yet, but I've got in my mind everyone.
On the lookout.
On the lookout of everyone who I help. You see people like yourself, and you start looking at to see who have I worked with. Who could you just start going back and pulling on people who bring. You sort of blind cast the show. So in my mind, I've got 6 dancers. I've got those characters, Langston, and Zora, and Alberta, and Simple. And with that, and a beautiful set, in my, I've done it all. And hopefully it will translate to a new audience. And we spoke earlier about, you would expect it to be filled with period jazz, from like Duke Ellington or, Lionel Hampton or, Fats Waller or something like that. But no, I want to thread it with new music, with new jazz, so that we can translate to the senses of a new audience. The artistic senses, there's evolution in the senses, like we mentioned before. And I want to be able to tap into those new senses of what the new audiences and new generations need to be stimulated by. So like you said, we don't want it to be like just a history lesson, in which it will be.
Right.
But it will make them sit and not squirm.
Right. It's a discovery mode.
A discovery mode, exactly. Yeah.
Unlock some things that they don't know they have in them.
Yeah.
And also introduce some new things.
Absolutely.
And give them a way to speak or to understand. Because a lot of them I know now, the only emotion or mode that they can tap into is anger. Because it's so easily, so quick to grab. What makes you happy? What brings you peace?
Yeah.
What brings you balance? So, and a slight tangent on some of the things in my co-op that I teach, I at least give them 10 minutes of just meditation or just reflection. Whatever day you had, just take this time just to think about what happened.
Yeah.
Because when you can do that, you can see what you did or how you reacted, or if something bothered you, how did you come out of that?
Yes.
And how can you apply that to the next situation? Or going forward, if you come into something that gives you anxiety, how can you control yourself without blowing up? Or ruining an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because you felt, and you could have been valid in your action and how you're feeling, but still your reaction. Sometimes you can't catch that, and what you do sometimes can be the final nail.
It's not their fault. It's not. I have to blame it on social media and the invention of that, and the global use of it. It's allowed people to. It really creates a jealous, an envious society, an angry society, a society of thumbs up or thumbs down. There's no in between or no opportunity to just think. It's either yay or nay, and it does create a lot of anger. I have to say this. I really don't like it because of what it has done to the psyche of the population. Everyone has an opinion. That's okay.
That does not make it fact.
But does not make it fact. And there's no research. What I've learned is anything that comes through this medium, at this tool at this point, you have to go back and fact check. Fact check everything. So this is the problem. This is the problem with our people today, is that they rely on this for all of the information, all the facts, all of their life is in this thing. And what you're doing in this 101, meditation and go back, and that's what we're missing. We're missing that human connection, which really buffers. It allows people to think before they speak. This does not allow you to think before you speak. You speak and then you think.
Because you're getting what you want from it.
Out of it immediately. And then you can hide behind it. I can't go to your door and, meet me outside on 89th.
Right.
What you say?
What you said?
What you said? And this doesn't allow you to do that. So it's creating a society, and there's no turning back. I mean, let's face it. The ball is the snowball down the hill thing. This cannot go back. We could never go back to the way we were. So what we have to do is adjust and restructure our lives in a better way to make this have more use in our lives, other than to condemn and to bring people down and to because on Tuesday you're the favorite, and you can slip on Wednesday and you're hated by millions and millions of dollars. And I've told you this, Rondell, I don't need 1 million likes. I just need 100 opportunities. And myself, I cannot rely on the opinion of millions of people to determine how I should feel about myself. It's deadly. It will cause you to go into a cocoon of despair and never come out. Suicidal. Even
we've lost a lot of people.
We've lost a lot of people just through that.
Yes.
So again, hopefully, as we move forward, art in any form will help us bring us out of that thing. Because right now it's about just being nosy.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's happening?
What's going on?
Well, thank you for that. And I just want to, as we close, I just want to, bring up something that you said that really sat with me and has been my motivation for this entire project. It's just basically, highlighting what is here, what has been done, and what hasn't gotten the work or the recognition or has been properly preserved.
Yes.
Because when you said about your mentor, that resonated with me so hard, because there are so many people who have given the people we know the opportunity, their skills, but they don't talk about their teachers. They don't talk about the environment that shaped them. They may mention one or two people, but they don't mention that one key person. And then sometimes somebody like you has been key people for several individuals or have touched lives.
And I'm blessed to be able to have been that.
So I feel like this is important. This is why we need to do these type of things, because there's such a gem and a history and just so many great things here that aren't getting the proper light. So I feel like this has been my opportunity to give that light. So I'm grateful to do that, and I'm grateful to have you.
I'm the one who's being blessed by this, because folk don't. I trained here in Cleveland, but I've never really worked here in Cleveland for any length of time or any. I would always come back. I would definitely always come back and give back from my travels around the world, because this is my home. But I have to say, I honor my teachers. I work to honor my teachers. It's not about me. It's about letting them know and letting the universe know that I'm grateful to have been poured into by such magnificent people as Mike Malone and Diane McIntyre and Lewis Johnson, who recently passed away. Architects of the Black experience throughout the 60s. When you needed someone to be on Broadway or in film or on television, those were the people who put them there. even the newer artists, Taraji. You know, I've worked with Taraji in DC at Howard. So Anthony Anderson. You know, you may not remember Amy Stewart. Knock, knock, knock on wood. But Amy's been living in Italy for about 30 years. But again, another product of a group of folk who believed in high art, discipline, and legacy and lineage. And so my objective throughout my career has been able to keep connected to the folk who poured into me, and then to continue to pour into those who will allow me to pour into them. You know, you have to have folk who will allow you to snatch them, and pull them by the neck and say,
all right.
and if you're willing to go through the fire, I promise you, you'll come out with a bronze glow, you know, of greatness on you. I take pride in creating artists, and I have people teaching around the world. I have people that I've taught on Broadway, and that I've just, you know, I've said, you down here in these woods? What are you doing out here in these woods? And they've moved on and are doing great things. So that makes me proud. It's not about me. It's about them and the longevity and the significance of high art. Thank you, Rondell.
No problem. Thank you again, and thank you all for joining. It's another episode of Front to Back. See you at the next one.